The archives of Aura did not smell of parchment or old glue. Instead, they smelled of ozone and the sharp metallic tang of a thunderstorm. Here, deep beneath the crystalline crust of the city, the history of the world was preserved in sapphire cylinders and amber cubes. Alara, the head curator, moved through the aisles with a ghost's grace. Her boots, soft-soled and silent, made no impact on the obsidian floor. She was the keeper of the discarded noise, the guardian of the whispers that currently in structures. When she touched it, there was no vibration, no hum, no warmth. It was a void of sound, a vacuum that seemed to pull the very air from her lungs. It was the first truly silent thing she had ever encountered. A small alcove carved directly into the living rock. She placed it on the velvet-lined table, her heart hammering against her ribs like a trapped bird. In Aura, silence was often equated with death or erasure. To find a book that to speak was a heresy of the highest order. She ran her palms over the cover, feeling the strange, oily smoothness of the stone. It felt like compressed shadow, cold enough to ache. She nursed the faint, wicked pulse beneath her fingertips. It wasn't a sound, but a tactile sensation, like a heartbeat buried deep underground. She closed her eyes and pressed her ear to the stone. For a long time there was nothing. Then, a tiny, jagged spark of noise pierced the void break. It was the sound of a metal chain snapping. It was followed by the sharp percent as the game's Yergeth. Swirling into a miniature landscape of sound. Alara leaned in, her breath hitching. She didn't need a voice to understand the story unfolding before her. The vibration spoke directly to her bones. She saw, or rather heard, the image of a different Ilra. This was a city before the High Cantors, a city where the air was filled with a chaotic, beautiful mess of folk songs, laughter, and the clashing of ideas. It was a woman's voice, raspy and defiant. Alara jumped, looking around the empty year and the insane. Ancient debris has over the ink to smear the images. It was Kale, the junior archivist, a young man with sharp eyes and a penchant for asking too many questions. He stood in the doorway, his head tilted as if listening for a sound that shouldn't be there. She picked the acoustic chamber, a massive bowl-shaped amphitheater at the heart of the city's broadcast the stone would eventually shatter, releasing its contents in an uncontrolled explosion of sound that would alert the entire city. She had two choices. She could take the book to the great incinerator and turn the memories into ash, or she could bring the book to the acoustic chamber and play the melody aloud. She thought of the city above, with its perfectly ordered streets and its perfectly ordered people. They were happy. Or at least they seemed so, because they had no words for sadness that weren't part of a pre-approved hymn. They lived in a beautiful cage of sound. Was it her right to break it? Was the truth worth the chaos that would surely follow? The focal point of the city's amplification. She didn't know how to play the book, but she sensed that it was waiting for a catalyst. She looked at the massive resonators, their polished surfaces reflecting the stars. She closed her eyes and did something she had never done in her life. She tried to make a sound. She opened her mouth, pushing the air up from her lungs, trying to find the vibration that lived in her soul. At first there was nothing but a dry wheeze, but then she thought of the ghost orchestra. The black book was dissolving, turning into a cloud of dark, singing smoke. She felt a profound sense of relief. The weight was gone. The city was no longer a single song. It was a cacophony. People were shouting, arguing, crying, and singing their own melodies. The fragile peace of Era was dead, but for the first time in a century, the city was finally, gloriously loud.